10 years ago, I graduated with this degree in film production. And since then, life as a freelance filmmaker has been a breeze. Yeah, not exactly. From spending countless hours cold calling companies for work to avoiding logging into my bank account in fear of witnessing the dwindling amount of cash left to my name, the fantasy of finishing film school and then becoming the successful full-time filmmaker that I'd always dreamt of got broken down pretty quickly. So that begs the question then, is going to film school even worth it? Well, for you, it might not be, because nobody cares about your degree. Many of us get drilled into our heads from an early age that, oh, you need to get good grades because good grades are what are going to get you those good jobs. When I went to film school, I still held this mindset thinking good grades would be the keys to a better chance at being successful in the industry. But in reality, since graduating, not one person has asked me what I got for my degree, except for my family members who would rather know this than watch any of my actual film projects. In filmmaking and in most creative disciplines, what the people who hire you care the most about is whether you're competent in your role and if you're a generally nice person. And unfortunately for me, because I got a first-class honor because I'm that smart, a degree just doesn't showcase this. Yeah, it may indicate that you're hardworking or dedicated, but that doesn't mean you're any good as a creative. At least in my uni, you could totally make people think that you're some kind of auteur filmmaker just based on your grade, because even if you made an absolutely crap film, if you researched and documented the process really well, you could actually still get the highest mark possible. Degrees matter way more in things like STEM fields, so science, technology, engineering, and maths, because the knowledge is black and white versus artistic fields where the quality of something is a lot more subjective and open to interpretation. Honestly, from experience, being likable and bold to go out and ask for what you want is the highest return on interest skill that an aspiring filmmaker can have. Not so much about whether you have a good portfolio of projects you've made in the past. Sure, that stuff does help, but most of the jobs that you're going to be getting in this industry are from recommendations by way of other filmmakers who you've already worked with or you know of through the grapevine. Can you learn social skills by not being at film school? Yeah, but being around other filmmakers all the time and collaborating with them, you'll soon figure out whether or not you're as cool and likable as you once thought you were. Being competent at your job or in your role is also important, but if you're a quick learner and you seem genuinely enthused to be on a film set working with other people, that'll count for so much more in helping to get your foot in the door. And you're still going to learn a lot about the technical competence of making films at film school because you'll have a focused period of time just to make films. It's very rare in life to have multiple years where you're focused on a specific creative discipline in an environment surrounded by like-minded people all with the same interests as yourself. And film school is exactly that kind of environment. You pretty much live and breathe filmmaking during the 2 to 3 years of your studying, from watching a bunch of films all the time, analyzing them, and most importantly, getting out there to actually make your own films. Other than the times when you're not out partying like a maniac! Some of my closest collaborators I met at film school, many of which I made projects with that ended up doing better than most of the uni projects that other students submitted. And post-graduation, I continued to land jobs from their recommendations working with production companies that they'd gotten their foots in the door before I did. Yes, you can meet people in the industry by networking on your own terms, but film school breeds this level of collaboration and encourages you to share your filmmaking knowledge collectively. Working on each other's projects, learning from each other's mistakes, it's a complete sandbox of discovery that you can take advantage of, especially if you push to do more than what your university is expecting as the bare minimum. What I did after graduating to get jobs was super similar to what I could have done if I didn't go to film school. Things like cold calling production companies for trainee opportunities and connecting with other like-minded filmmakers to work together and shoot our own projects. There's no denying though that I did get more opportunities passively because I went to film school, because I'd already befriended a bunch of talented filmmakers over the past 3 years, meaning I was able to take on roles as a trainee or even like fully paid legit roles with people who I wouldn't have otherwise most likely have come into contact with. And honestly, one of the main things about film school for me was that it just gave me the confidence to know for sure that I wanted to pursue a career in film, which really helped me deal with the knockbacks and rejections that I ended up facing, because I knew it was all part of the whole journey of getting to where I wanted to be. All of these things were certainly worth the steep price of film school, because part of that cost goes towards being able to use high-end film gear for free. Say free because you're paying for it basically. It's no secret that you need money to make a film. Yeah, you can make something with your new fancy iPhone 15's 4K Apple log camera. Lucky buggers. I had to make do with a 460p camera when I was a young lad. But if you want to make something half decent like your favorite filmmakers, you're gonna need to, at the very least, buy food to feed your actors and crew, and yeah, that's gonna cost money, unless you get your mama to cook you some bolognese for the crew. But in general, you're gonna need to spend some money. The beauty of film school, and one of the things you're actually paying for with your tuition, is access to high-end filming gear. Cinema cameras, lights, grip equipment, you name it. If it's a good uni/film school, they should have most of the essentials that you're gonna need to make a decent film. There's just no way you're gonna have access to any of these things unless you're already like a super rich kid and you can just afford to rent out an Ariel X whenever the hell you want. I would often take out new cameras when I was at film school for days on end just to play around with them and to experiment with different techniques, from using like different filters on the camera to see what effects that they had, taking out lighting and dollies and grip gears to see if I could replicate certain like times of day, like a sunset scene. You just don't have that kind of luxury if you're not at film school and after you've graduated, unless you manage to like land yourself a job at a camera or lighting rental company and you make friends with them so they can actually like lend you gear for very cheap or free. I even got to shoot on super 16mm film at my uni, which was a great experience and one that's pretty rare nowadays. You realize how valuable this easy access to gear was once you've actually left film school and you want to make your own project, and now you have to burden the expenses of renting out all of that gear that used to be free, along with all the other expenses that are needed to help make a film come to life. But even at film school, at least at mine, you have to also fund your graduation film, which is a bit of a weird concept that, you know, you're paying for uni and you still have to fund your graduation film. The group that I was in, I remember we had to put in like £300 each of our own money to fund to actually make our graduation project. So there's really no getting around it. You need money to make a decent film, in my opinion. Thankfully, a lot of film schools offer tuition, so you're not in crippling debt by the end of it. At least in the UK, where I was studying and where I'm from, you only start paying back what you owe when you're earning a certain amount of money each year. I think I usually only pay around £200 a year back towards my tuition, depending on the kind of profit that I made from the year. But if you would have to borrow that money from the bank, and that would mean that you'd be in crippling debt after graduating and you have to pay back a stupid amount every single month, I'd probably lean towards it not being worth it, even with all the free gear and opportunities that you might get from being at a film school. I think it'd be better to save that money towards supporting you as you're going about knocking on doors in your city to look for potential filmmaking work. Also, you can still work on student film sets by befriending the current film students in the film school that might be near you, meaning that you get to make connections with them without spending a penny of the tuition money that they are. I worked with a bunch of local filmmakers who didn't go to my uni because they were eager to help out, and they were just really, really nice people. And we ended up collaborating on a bunch of stuff after I'd graduated. Your location does matter a lot when it comes to filmmaking opportunities. If you're in a big filmmaking city, then it's a lot easier for you to get work just because you can actually make it to set on time, and just your face will be seen a lot more at these production companies and around the little filmmaking social circles that you are trying to tap into. And that's why it is sort of similar to the film school experience, because you're all together with fellow filmmakers in the same place. It's more likely that you're going to meet someone that you vibe with if you're, you know, together with hundreds of other filmmakers. There's got to be one who you vibe with and, you know, make a lot of cool stuff together during your 3 years and hopefully way beyond after you finished and you've graduated. But even if you do decide to go to film school, it might make you realize that you don't actually want to be a filmmaker at all. There's one thing about the fantasy of becoming a filmmaker, and then the actual experience of waking up at 4 a.m., getting to your outdoor location in the freezing cold, in the woods, to then be shooting almost non-stop for many, many, many hours. For a lot of people, the realities of filmmaking don't line up with their vision of what they thought it was going to be like, and soon they'll realize it's just not for them. There were about 100 students in my first year of film school, and after a few months in, a bunch of them ended up dropping out, and I think I can probably name about 10 people that I graduated with who are actually currently doing something that is filmmaking related. Some people just aren't willing to push through this uncertainty, pain, and discomfort of working their way up to being that big shot director, and I get it. It's really not that easy. And in a way, I wasn't willing to push through this either, hence why I got drawn into this whole YouTube filmmaking path. It just takes a toll on you after a while when you only see like really small incremental progress in this goal that you've been aiming for years on end. There's no hard or fast rule about whether you should or shouldn't go to a film school. If you already live near a major city with film stuff going on and you're a particularly personable person or prepared to at least work on these social skills, then cool, just start cold calling companies to try and get work. You're gonna quickly get into the industry if you do this with this level of discipline and grit that you have. But if you're really on the fence about whether you should or shouldn't go, you can always try it and then just drop out when you realize it isn't for you. It's better to at least give it a try and know that you actually don't want to go down that path than to have this thing in your head about, oh, should I be doing this? Because you're going to be going through a lot of hard times trying to find work, and you're going to get rejections. Then you're going to think, oh no, if only I was in film school, like that would have solved these painful rejections that I'm getting and I wouldn't have to face it. And if you've actually already been to film school and realize it's not for you, you're just gonna know that, hey, that's just one of the things that I have to deal with on this path to getting work in the industry. But if you want to be a traditional filmmaker versus like a more content creator, videographer, working on YouTube content, let's say, being on a movie set, shooting big Hollywood blockbusters kind of filmmaker, then I think film school does still have a lot of benefits, especially if you end up doing a master's and you go to a film school like the NFTS, which is the National Film and Television School in the UK, which many people consider the best film school on the planet. It's almost a no-brainer to go if you get an offer to get into there, just because getting in the first place is unbelievably difficult. The name of a school like that actually carries quite a lot of weight in the industry. I mean, people like Roger Deakins graduated from here, and you have ridiculously amazing lecturers like David Fincher just casually coming in to do a talk about filmmaking. I've even said yes to working on shoots just because the cinematographer happened to be an ex-graduate of this film school. And fun fact, it was actually once my goal to get into this film school and study there, but now if I look back at the prospect of moving to a tiny little countryside village for 2 years only to focus on filmmaking and nothing else, that actually doesn't sound that appealing to me anymore. Maybe I'm just spoiled because I'm living in a big ass city now with stuff going on. I just don't want to live the countryside life anymore. Honestly, now if you're an aspiring filmmaker, or you maybe have even a little bit of interest in the content creation side of filmmaking and not just the the big movie set side of it, you could always just focus on that, and that actually might eventually get you into the traditional filmmaking path anyway, versus grinding away for years and years on lower paid shoots in roles that don't feel that related to you being able to actually physically hold a camera and do the more fun creative stuff. The truth is that the online YouTuber-y kind of world is really meshing into the mainstream filmmaking world now more than ever, and there's online creators who are working for massive brands and shooting big commercials for high-end brands, so there's no reason why you can't go through this path, which is kind of what I'm trying to do, and then eventually make your way up into the industry. I mean, I don't know if I'll ever work in the industry on big Hollywood movies. That's kind of not my goal. I'd be happy to just, for now anyway, just keep making online content and teaching, and maybe shoot a music video or commercial here or there. But honestly, it's just so much more fun for me to be making videos like this and sharing my insights and building a community. I just find it, I don't know, it just feels a lot better than being in the frozen woods, freezing in 1 degree temperature. Not for me anymore. And the good thing about the online content creator direction is that there's just so many resources online that are about video creation that you don't even need to get into debt to learn the skills necessary to be a competent filmmaker. So do I regret not going to film school? I've trashed it a bit. I've said the good things, I've said bad things. I personally would say no. I honestly don't regret it. The friendships and experiences that I ended up having were so invaluable, and I've made memories and still have memories that I'm just gonna cherish forever. Honestly, the only thing I really regret was the fact that I didn't document my journey as much or start my YouTube channel back then. It would have been so interesting to look back at little Adam Grasso talking to the camera, and then to look now, I would have been able to capture my experience a lot more clearly than just the memories that I have and trying to explain it to you. And also that I didn't start focusing on friendships and connections more until my second and third year, because I was so concerned about getting, the good grades. I need the highest grades possible, and that means I'm doing really good. When I later ended up realizing, only after working with people who'd already graduated, that grades don't matter at all. As a creative individual, you're going to want to try to avoid some mistakes while you're going through your creative journey, which is why you should check out this video where I share my creative life lessons from over the past 10 years. Hit that subscribe button, because if you don't, you'll be enrolling in this incredible film school. Looks amazing, right? I'll see you in the next video.